In this episode of How'd You Get Here, we talk with What Would Jesus Do food truck owner Genevieve Hardin. I hope you enjoy the interview. Genevieve.
Yes.
Welcome to the show.
Thanks. I'm excited to be here.
Yeah. Is this your first podcast?
It is.
Look at that.
I know.
You'll be a season pro before the end of this
right?
thing. All right. So I met you at an event.
Mm-hmm.
You were slinging grilled cheeses.
Sure were.
And I was like, this is so cool. And now I've heard that food truck it's a grind, right? I mean, it's
yes.
a business.
Yeah.
Like you have to really love what you're doing in order to do it because it's not for everybody.
Correct. Yes.
So I thought, this would be an interesting interview to kind of hear like how you went crazy and got a food truck.
Right.
But then also kind of hear a little bit of your story of where you came from,
Okay.
where you grew up,
Right.
all that kind of stuff.
Cool.
Yeah. So first, where'd you grow up? What was your home life like?
Okay. Well, I grew up in Broomfield, Colorado, so I'm a born and raised native.
Nice.
And my home life, I was blessed with a great family and super supportive throughout my life and anything I wanted to do, even if it was crazy, which is kind of like owning a food truck. So they're still supportive. So yeah, I went to high school in Broomfield and here I am still working at home.
Yeah. Do you have siblings and things like that?
I have a brother. Yeah.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So are you guys close in age?
He's 5 years older than me.
Oh,
yeah.
okay.
Yeah. He's kind of my go-to, my mentor, if you will. So,
Oh, okay.
yeah. He's my guy.
That's cool.
Yeah.
So you guys are buddies?
Yeah, we are for
which
sure.
is good.
Yeah. His wife is my best friend. So we're very close.
Nice. That's awesome.
Yeah.
So as a kid, what were you like? Were you rambunctious? Were you getting in trouble all the time? Or were you like a bookworm?
No, I was a troublemaker for sure.
Oh, really?
High school.
You kind of had that vibe.
Do I? Oh, gosh.
I was like, you know what?
She seems like
this
trouble.
girl seems like.
I was. Yeah, I was. College wasn't for me, so I kind of went in the restaurant industry and worked my way through it. And here I am now owning a business.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's awesome.
Yeah. So when you say college wasn't for you, do you say that because you felt like you weren't super book smart or, why is that?
It just, not necessarily I wasn't book smart. It's just that I didn't have a lot of drive to go and put myself into debt through student loans. And I think that's okay. And people need to know that that's okay.
Yeah.
That you can still be successful without, grinding through college every day and being in crazy debt. You can still make it without doing that. And that's something I wish that people would talk about more is that it's okay to find your own trade through whatever, venture you do.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm a huge proponent of that as well. I think there's definitely a time and place for college, right? I think that if you want to be a doctor, you probably want to go to school.
Yeah.
I don't want anyone operating on my heart because they're like, yeah, I was in my parents' garage operating on cats. No. I think lawyer, right? You got to have a lot of school under your belt. You got to have to know a lot about a lot.
Right.
But there's so many things where I feel like people spend. I have friends who've spent like hundreds of thousands of dollars, and then they intern somewhere and oh wow, I learned more interning at this place for a year than I did in 4 years of college, just learning instead of just doing. So,
Yep.
I'm probably going to tell my kids, if you want to go to school, that's great.
Right.
I'll support you in that, but let's be really focused on if we're going to spend money on this, let's make sure there's a good return.
Yep.
Because, debt is one of those things that is crushing a lot of young people and a lot of...
Right, and then they get into a job and they didn't do enough research on the money they're actually going to get paid in the real world. And then they're like, wait, now what? Isn't that scary for them? And that was just not something I wanted to do to myself.
Yeah,
yeah,
for sure. And then in high school, did you... what was that life like? Did you you said you had a good home life. That's awesome.
I did, yeah.
So you went on vacations with your family.
Oh, yeah.
And
road trips, all of that jazz. So, and in high school, I worked. I had my first job at 15. And I worked a lot throughout high school. So that's honestly was one of my big focuses through high school was just already working. Mm-hmm. So it kind of felt natural to just
keep working.
Yeah.
Yeah. I got my first job at 14. I was, I got a worker's permit from my guidance counselor, and I got a job at Little Caesars Pizza.
Yep.
was awesome.
Mine was IHOP. So
Look at that. At 15, huh?
Mm-hmm, yeah.
Do you have any like moments where you spilled coffee on somebody or you like threw the food on the ground? Did anything crazy like that happen to you?
No, not that I remember. Awesome. Yeah.
That's like my biggest worry of someone, it's like it's their first day, they're nervous and they're like spilling like pancakes on everybody or like the coffee or.
No, I never had a horror story like that. So
that's good.
I'm lucky. Yeah.
Nice. So you started grinding at a young age, just working it. And was there things that you wanted? Like at a young age, you're like, listen, I want to get like MAC makeup, so I have to afford.
Every kid does. And my parents said, well, then go find a job. So I did.
Okay, nice.
Yeah.
And then so you kind of worked. Did a lot of your friends work when you were younger?
I did have a lot of friends and we all kind of worked at the same place.
So
which
fun.
was weird. Yeah. But it was a lot of fun. Yeah.
Yeah.
And trouble at the same time.
Yeah, when you work with your friends, it's kind of like the shenanigans. I always say.
Are real, I actually worked at that same time. I worked at Grease Monkey as well. So
2 jobs.
Yeah, and it was I worked a lot, and one was Grease Monkey, and the other was IHOP, which is weird, but
that is weird.
It is, but
but
kind
cool.
of shaped me.
Yeah, exactly. Mm-hmm. All right, so you go through high school. Mm-hmm. Average student.
Yeah.
B's and C's.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Maybe
C's.
some D's.
Yeah, maybe. We'll just say D's.
You passed.
I did. Okay. I graduated.
That's all that's important,
Very
right?
True, yeah.
So then because you're like, listen, I don't really like school. I like working. Mm-hmm. Were your parents pretty supportive of that? I mean, were they like, we wish you'd do better and
no,
go to college? Did your brother go to college?
No, he did not. He works.
Okay.
Yeah, he works in HVAC as his trade. So I actually did a semester of college.
Okay.
That my dad paid for. And he passed away. And so I kind of got lost in that for quite a while and then ended up finding my own place and waitressing for many years after that.
So you started in the food industry. Mm-hmm. You're kind of grinding away, working, things like that. And how long did you do that before you decided you wanted to, kind of work for yourself?
Well, the last position I was in was with a great company. I was there for 12 years. Started as a server and worked my way up through opening restaurants and being a GM and eventually working at the corporate level. And when I got to that position, I was like kind of having a midlife crisis. And I was like, okay, what is this what I want to do? And I kind of felt
I've climbed the ladder.
Right. I kind of stopped and I'm like, this is not what I want to do. I feel like I'm living somebody else's dream and I might as well figure out how to make my own. So
yeah, I think a lot of people get to that, right? They kind of get to the top of that corporate ladder, or they have this idea of like, okay, when I'm making this much money and I, have this much vacation time, then I'll be happy.
And then I wasn't. It's so true. I had 4 weeks of vacation and I gave it all up, and I was getting paid great and I had a great job and I loved everyone I worked with. It's just, I just wasn't there for me,
Mm-hmm. So what was that like? Did you wake up? Was it like a slow build, slow burn? Did you wake up one day and said, mic drop, I'm out of here?
It almost, yeah. Honestly, I got to that point and it was less than a year when I reached that new position where I was like, no, I think mic drop. I'm going to mic drop it. And then I did. It was crazy.
Yeah. So, I mean, when you did that, did you know what you were going to do?
No, I did not. I just quit my job. And then so I started to, I know.
Please tell me you moved back in with your parents.
No.
Okay.
Did
you have savings or money saved up?
Yeah,
like
I did.
Okay.
So I had to buy a business. So I had the savings. So I had quit and then started a business plan for a grilled cheese food truck. And then I came across one for sale, which was what would Jesus do.
So like the universe was speaking to you.
It was so weird. I was like Craigslisting. I'm like, I wonder how much a food truck that I could build would cost. And then it just popped up and I'm like, what? This is weird.
So how did you get to food truck? I mean, were you like watching food TV and seeing all these battles of the food truck and you're like, I could do that?
That's kind of, yeah. I mean, I love the Food Network and I would just go and eat at food trucks and it was kind of coming up in Denver and it was just always on my radar. And I would always think, man, if I could run a food truck, I wonder what that's like,
Food trucks have there's so much glamour around it. I feel like
It's
because I've had that
pretty
thought
hip.
too.
Yeah.
I'm like, man, I bet I could do a food truck, and
Right.
I'm my own boss, driving my own food
Right.
truck.
Yep. A lot of people think that way.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I just did it.
So did it all happen kind of fast? I mean, from the time that you kind of quit your job and decided that you wanted to do your own thing,
Yeah.
you weren't sure what it was, but then you had this idea of like, what if I did a grilled cheese food truck? Like, why grilled cheese food truck? Like, that seems like the most random. Like, did you write a bunch of things out? Like, let's see, I could do barbecue, I could do Italian subs.
I thought about it, but there's not a whole lot of grilled cheese food trucks out there. There are, but it's not like taco truck.
Right. Yeah.
which
Taco
you see
truck
everywhere.
Is,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or even barbecue is everywhere.
Yeah.
So there's, I think, one other just only grilled cheese food truck in Denver. And there's a couple of places that do grilled cheese, but not solely grilled cheese. So it felt like a unique in a way.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So did you have some friends or like guidance counselors or like people who were cheering you on or like that you were brainstorming with or?
Yeah, absolutely. I had a lot of people in my life and my whole family. We actually, when we got the truck, we had like a party weekend of 3 days and we redid the inside and just revamped it and did trial runs and all this stuff. So we had, I have a lot of support with it and a lot of people that kind of have a piece of what would Jesus do,
Yeah. And so that's really cool. So you had support. And when you were working your job, did you like talk to your mom or something like that and say, hey, I think I want to quit and I want to do a food
my mom
truck?
thought I was crazy.
She's like, you just got this position.
Yes, pretty much. And
You made it.
She came around,
Yeah.
and because at one point I was like, "Geez, Mom, I really need your support." And she's like, "Okay." And she rethought it, and she called me back. She's like, "Okay, I support you." My brother, who was just kind of riding the wave with me, he's like, "You should just do it. Just do it. Go." And I was like, "Really?" And he's like, "Yes, buy this food truck." And then I did.
Now, obviously you had money saved for the food truck. So, I'm sure it's not a cheap purchase.
It's not, no.
And then you have to make it your own, right? So you're remodeling it and doing those kind of things. Was there ever a point where you did that and you were in the, building this and there's all these things that you have to, do? I'm sure you have to get like licenses and like all this stuff.
That's
I mean,
crazy,
was there a point where you were kind of like, did I do the wrong thing?
Yeah. Oh, 100%. Especially when it actually got stolen. I don't know if you've heard that. But.
Well, when I was doing my research, if you Google what would Jesus do, it's like one of the top things of the food truck getting stolen and all that kind of stuff. How long had you been around at that point?
So we hadn't even been licensed yet in Denver, or we had just gotten our license. So we weren't even fully in business when it was stolen. Yeah.
So was this stealing kind of a blessing in disguise? I mean, did you get a lot of press because of that?
We did, yeah. And then we had a awesome Colorado Food Trucks and Restaurant Equipment actually redid it for us pro bono. So they were amazing to us. And so they, in fact, redid it. And then we had all the press and there's some other press with this crazy religious lady. And so people pay for stuff like that. I didn't have to. I did have to go through the craziness of it. But it was the 24 hours I didn't know where it was very nerve-wracking, but it ended up we came out on top.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah, it's pretty crazy.
So the name, what would Jesus do?
I know. I wish I could claim that I came up with that, but I did not.
It's what you bought.
It's what I bought. Yeah.
Yeah. The food truck was already there. The brand was there.
It was by this awesome lady, Taylor Garland, who came up with all of this. And she's been kind of rallying behind me this whole time as being the previous owner. And so that was all her idea.
That's cool.
I know. She's awesome. Hi, Taylor.
Taylor. Wow, that's so cool. So let's I want to talk a little bit about the stealing and all that kind of stuff that happened. So you really hadn't launched yet.
Nope.
You're getting everything prepared, all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
The food how does it get stolen?
Right. Well,
did you like go to get a Slurpee and leave it running?
Oh no. It was sitting at its home at the time. And it wasn't in the best area. It had, hitch locks and everything on it. But there was actually video of some guy coming up and just somehow broke off the lock and hitched up and just drove away.
Just
and
like that.
they completely gutted the whole thing and then dropped it off in Commerce City.
Like they gutted it to sell it, like everything inside?
And everything inside. They stole down to the menus and the hand washing or the soap dispenser, like everything.
Wow. Like a chop shop.
It was crazy. Yeah. So, and then some guy saw me on the news and then called the police and I came and picked it up, but it was completely gutted.
Oh man. Was your heart broken at that point? Like, did you think maybe I should go back to my job?
I did. I was like, what did I failed. Do? Oh, there were tears. I was a hot mess, but.
So how did you get through that?
Persistence, stubborn. I'm stubborn, pride, all of those things. Like just got to keep going, got to prove myself,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Why do you think you're like that?
My dad, I think maybe kind of instilled some of that in me.
Yeah.
Just to always keep going and continue persevering, even no matter what's thrown at you,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Don't take crap from anybody.
Pretty much, yeah.
Don't let the world hold you down.
Very true.
Yeah. So how long have you had the food truck now at this point?
So it's been a year this month.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, happy anniversary.
Thanks.
What are some of the biggest lessons you learned this year, you think?
Some of the biggest lessons. Well, continuing on the, persevering is to never give up and to always be 2 steps ahead, because sometimes I had fallen behind. There's an incredible amount of admin work you have to do with a food truck that you would not have considered when, you're like, I'm just going to go sling grilled cheese. And no, there's a lot behind it.
What do you mean admin work?
So all the licensing, taxes, it's like it's a mobile business. So every single city you have to go to, you have to get a certain, whatever they require of you as a food truck. And then only booking jobs and doing emails and catering requests and all that stuff is just, my phone's constantly dinging.
Yeah. And you're still at a place where you're kind of like the one-man band?
Yeah, I do have a GM.
Okay.
So he is able to run the truck without me if for some reason I can't be on there or I need vacation or something. So I'm very blessed to have a guy named Ian who's my right-hand man. So
nice.
Yeah.
And so what do you see, what do you see for the future? Like, what do you set goals for yourself? I mean, do you say, all right, I'm going to keep doing this if X, Y, and Z continues to happen? Yeah. Or, how has business been this year?
The first year was a lot of me learning and making mistakes, and obviously bouncing back after being stolen. So it was bumpy. It was. So my goal this year is to obviously beat the number of last year.
Yeah.
Which I know I will. And I'm not going to have so many things in my way or silly mistakes that I do or things that I buy that maybe I didn't need to buy. So honestly, it's fine tuning this year, mistakes last year, fine tuning this year. And then next year is to really pay off anything that I have taken out for this. And then ultimately opening a restaurant was the goal.
A restaurant?
Yeah.
So this is like the gateway drug.
Well, yeah. I'm not going to run a food truck the rest of my life. I know that. That would be crazy. Can you imagine like me at 70 years old or something?
Do you want brie or do you want extra sharp cheddar?
Yeah. So no, that's the goal, is to actually open a restaurant. Yeah.
Okay. So that's interesting. A What Would Cheeses Do restaurant?
Yes.
There was a grilled cheese restaurant around here.
Was there?
Yeah. And
I don't like was. Well, I mean, maybe I like was, but.
Well, you would crush them.
Okay, thanks.
I'm trying to remember the name of it. It was I can't remember what it was called, but it was something, a grilled cheese restaurant.
Yeah.
It wasn't that good. Yours is better.
Hey, thanks.
Yeah. You have a cooler brand. I mean, there's just a lot that's cool about
it's unforgettable for sure. Yeah.
Yeah. So, I mean, do you get a lot of crap because there's, I saw that one story of the lady who, was like trolling you because
it was nuts. Yeah.
Yeah.
She's been like literally the only one. I've occasionally got that people don't like the go fig yourself sandwich, which I think is hilarious.
Yeah.
But
Well, I think it was so funny because, where I met you was at a church event, like in the parking lot. And so I'm like,
what?
how cool is this church that they like brought you in?
Yeah,
to, like,
we actually, churches search us a lot. They call me all the time or send me emails, hey, come out to us. So not everybody is like that one lady.
Some people are just, they got a chip on their shoulder and they're like, have their own.
Well, and she was
issues.
like trying to gain money on this, and she's got like 45,000 followers or something.
Oh, wow.
And they're all crazy. Yeah.
Just psycho.
Yeah.
Yeah. So have you ever thought about changing the brand or anything like that?
I not really, because honestly, everybody loves it.
Yeah.
Everybody just gets really excited when they come up and see my truck.
Do you ever run into people who like don't get the reference? Like younger people? Yeah. Because I mean, when I was in high school, was the height of WWJD. Like, what would Jesus do? Like, even like just Satan worshipers were wearing the WWJD bracelets and stuff because it was just like the cool thing. Yeah, we actually
have those, but they're Jesus ones. Yes,
nice. But what I'm saying, like, I'm sure there's some kids who are like, "What's that?"
They are actually. We just came from a high school today.
Oh, nice.
And we go to Northfield High School, and some of the kids are like, "What would Jesus do?" And it's like. I tell them, I'm like,
back in the 90s.
It's a 90s thing. Just Google it. It's hilarious. But yes, young kids are like, which I've always thought, I'm like, can I keep this going as, people age?
Yeah, you can. I mean, especially now, it's like, everybody who knows that is in their like early 30s, late 20s, like, so you can ride it for a long time.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah.
All right, so you've had downs, you've had ups, you have goals, you have plans, what's some advice that you would give to somebody who maybe is thinking about starting, their own food truck or just getting involved in the food business? Like, what are some things you learned that are pitfalls or like, watch out for this, or this is what I would tell somebody if they said, hey, should I do this?
There's a lot of people that ask those questions. There's some Facebook forums and people are like, hey, I'm going to open a food truck. What are people's thoughts? And some of the things that first thing that I would say, and then other people on that forum say, double the capital you think you need. You're going to need more. It costs more money than you think. And I wish somebody had told me that at the very beginning. And then knowing that your first year is going to always be your worst and you're going to struggle and go through all these things just like I did, and that you will breathe again come the next year, just like what I'm feeling right now. And then just always just keep going at it and then reaching out to people in the food truck community. Because I didn't know how, friendly everyone is. And even though we're all fighting for the same business in the same city, everybody really comes together and supports one another, which is an awesome thing that I was surprised by.
That's awesome.
World, yeah.
Mm-hmm. So it's like once you get in the world, like you're kind of in the club.
It is a weird little club, yeah.
And then you guys are like, oh man, this one time.
Yeah, pretty much. Or don't go there. Yeah.
Place is super sketch. Everyone's always drunk.
Right. Something like that.
So do you find yourself, do you find that you work more or less than you thought you were going to work?
It depends on the time of year. Right now is our slow season. I would wish to be working more right now. In fact, I was kind of thrown off by how little or how hard it was trying to get those jobs when there's a lot of the food trucks will shut down for the winter, but there's some few of us left that we're all kind of fighting for the same jobs. So right now it's less, but in the summer I just grinding devils every day and then going home and emailing and sleeping for a little while and getting up and doing the same thing. So it's kind of a little bit of both.
Yeah. Now, do you just try to enjoy the slow season?
I will more next year.
Yeah.
I think honestly, we'll probably shut down for January, February next year instead of trying to stay open. Because the weather is just so unpredictable and it snowed a lot this year. So we've lost work because of that.
Yeah. So, like people are like, hey, it's snowing now. Don't come.
Yeah. Or it's 20 degrees and it's freezing and I can't put me and Ian through that every day,
Yeah.
So
What have you found as being like your biggest win? You know, what have you found that you said, okay, this was awesome? Like,
I would say some of the bigger festivals that we did last year, and being able to operationally figure out how to make the most money and then actually making a great profit at the end of the day. Like, for instance, 4th of July was our biggest grossing day last year. And just figuring out, even though we've never done anything that big, that we conquered it and came out on the other side, and we were dog tired, but we were all smiling and happy and proud of ourselves.
yeah.
Yeah.
Do you think that it's hard work, but do you find that it's just rewarding? Like, even though there's the grind and it's like, oh man, do you find that you wake up and say, all right, I think I can do this again? Like, I love it enough to where
Yeah.
you can keep going?
Yeah, because it's all about me finding motivation in myself, rather than being motivated by a boss or a corporation.
Yeah.
So I find that, when I get through a hoop or I get to a place where I'm proud of myself, I know that I did that from scratch rather than being pushed by somebody else. It's my own personal motivation.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I think this is all very fascinating. I mean, to me, it's like there seems to be, you always hear like, don't go in the food industry if you like love to cook, or because it'll like rob your joy. Have you found like any of that at all as well?
I have in my previous work, not this one though. This is just fun.
Yeah.
Like, you saw us out there just
Yeah.
having a good time. Like,
and you're meeting new people every day. It's kind
Yeah.
of like you're experiencing different things.
and then I got to come do stuff like this because of people I meet on the
Right.
truck. Yeah. It's
like,
awesome.
hey. And then I'm sure it's like, hey, could you come to this event? And
Yeah.
can you do this?
Oh
And
yeah. It's a big chain reaction.
yeah, that's cool. So you have big goals. You want to eventually open up a restaurant.
Yeah.
Have you done planning to where it's like terminal velocity of, all right, I've sold this many grilled cheeses and now I can step off? Are you starting already to plan that? Like taking a profit margin and putting it towards a restaurant? I mean,
As of right now, we're just kind of trying to get over last year and some of the hoops we've been going through. So it's still in the works. It's in my head.
Yeah.
Business plans have started on paper, but that's as far as they've got so far.
Yeah.
Yeah.
so how do you, I mean, every day you wake up and do you have a routine, or, I mean, what does that look like?
It really depends on, because some days we work days, some nights, some times we have doubles. So honestly, it's just week by week.
Yeah.
I just pull up my calendar and I'm like, all right, what am I doing this week?
You kind of live and die by that.
Yeah.
Now, do you also run your calendar too?
Oh yeah.
You do it all.
I do it
Soup
all.
to nuts.
Yes. It's pretty crazy.
Wow. So do you think at some point you'll want to bring on like an admin or somebody to like do some of that kind of work?
Most definitely. Yeah. At some point. I'm not there yet. I do have an accountant who's awesome. And they help with taxes and things like that. Because filing taxes in all these different cities I go to is just
a nightmare, I'm sure.
It is. Yeah. So, I'm very grateful to have them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Was that something you did right out of the gate, like found a good accountant, or did you think you were going to do it yourself? Or
I kind of started out thinking I could, and then after doing some research, I'm like, no. Mm-mm. And a lot of the food trucks, because I would ask around, I'm like, hey, is this something I can do on my own? And one lady said, do you want to pay taxes to all these different cities that you're going to? And I was like, no, okay, I'll just hire somebody.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Nice. And then that's been good for you. Like you just give them all your receipts and stuff, and
yeah, I actually just started to input the receipts and stuff myself because before I was just handing them a box of receipts, and then I thought, oh, I can just do this myself. So
like, I don't want to pay $80 an hour to have them do this.
Yeah, I might as well just do it.
I can put on a show.
And they make it pretty easy on an app on your phone.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Nice. That's cool. So I want to hear a little bit more about stuff that you're into,
Okay.
like what kind of music do you like?
Well, oh gosh, I have weird musical tastes. My favorite band is Rush.
Rush, like from the 80s?
Yeah.
I like Rush.
Rush has been a lot longer than the 80s.
Like 70s Rush?
70s, 80s, 90s. I haven't missed a Rush concert since I was 16.
That's hardcore.
It is pretty hardcore. They're no longer touring, unfortunately. So, but That was instilled with my father and my brother, so it's like a family
Yeah.
thing. Yeah.
That's awesome. What's your favorite Rush song?
It is from album Presto, and it's called The Pass.
The Pass? Okay. I'll have to check that out.
I know,
I don't
it's
think I'm
so
familiar with that one.
Everybody's going to be like, what is this crazy chick with the Rush?
So I would guess that if you were going to Desert Island and you had to bring 3 records.
It would probably be Rush. Well, one of them at least.
Okay.
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah.
That's awesome. What about like, do you ever get to travel? I mean, do you like to travel?
I
You said when
do.
you were a kid, you guys went on like road trips and
yeah.
did that kind of thing.
I've actually never been out of the country, which one day I hope to.
Okay.
My last vacation was a few months ago. I went to San Francisco. I caught a giant leopard shark.
A leopard shark?
Yeah, it was awesome. It was like
Did you go leopard shark fishing or
we
something?
did. It was like we took a charter out in the San Francisco Bay and went fishing, and I caught. In fact, the guy put me on the website. I guess I caught one of the biggest of the year. And I had a
Really?
bruise on my belly trying to pull this thing in. It was crazy.
Was it, how big are leopard sharks?
It was probably like 5 feet or so. It was huge and
That's
very heavy.
massive.
I had to have one guy help me pick it up for the picture. It was crazy.
Did you get to eat it afterwards, or
No,
what do you do
she
with
was
it?
pregnant, so we released her to make sure that she could have her baby.
That's why she was so heavy, huh?
right. It was crazy. Yeah,
Baby shark.
I know. I just said that, and I was like, "That song."
Thanks a lot.
You're welcome.
Oh, that's awesome. What about your first car? What was your first car?
Was a 1985 Chevy Cavalier.
Oh,
White. Yes. It was
fancy.
I know. That's what it was.
That's a safe car,
Mhm,
right? The
mhm.
Cavalier, straight up gangster.
Yep, it was just white and boring. Yeah.
That's cool. But you know, when you get your first car, at least for me, I remember I had a 1981 Toyota Corolla, and the freedom that you feel.
Oh yeah,
like,
I didn't care.
yeah, you don't really care what that first
Right.
car is, right?
Mhm.
Like you just like I can go wherever I want, you
Yep.
know, and drive.
Mhm.
It's a good feeling.
It is.
Yeah. What kind of food do you like? I mean,
Well, obviously grilled cheese.
well, yeah. I mean,
yeah.
but do you really like cook yourself a
I
grilled
don't,
cheese at
honestly, I don't. Not anymore.
home? You get home from work and you're like, I'm gonna make myself a grilled cheese.
I'm not. No. I love lots of Asian food.
Okay.
Yeah, Thai food especially.
What's your favorite Thai place?
There's this. It's called the Bangkok Cafe, and it's in Inglewood.
Oh,
Yeah, it's
is that
delicious.
like right there on like 285?
Yep.
And okay, yeah,
Mhm.
I've been there.
Yeah, it's delicious. Yeah.
The Bangkok Cafe.
Yeah, I like to cook at home a lot. A lot of Asian stuff.
Really?
Yeah,
Now,
which is weird coming from grilled cheese.
do you have an Asian grilled cheese?
I don't. I've always
Do you
thought
like a
about
banh mi like type sandwich or something like that?
I thought of maybe doing something with kimchi.
Oh yeah.
I haven't done it yet because I'm not sure it'll be well received.
Yeah, it's one of those things that's, you know,
They're going to be like, do I want that? Yes, it's delicious.
like,
but
listen, I've wasted all this money on food costs. You
Right.
better order this sandwich.
Exactly why I haven't done it yet.
You know, but you could do like a Korean barbecue sandwich, something
Yeah.
like that, you know, with
Mhm.
the beef and like cheese, like some sort of like,
Right. That's
Yeah.
the thing is like cheese and Asian food are not really.
yeah, it's not that like, you don't, actually, I don't know of any Asian food that has cheese in it.
No, I thought about
I'm
it. I'm
sure
like,
there
what kind
is
of cheese
one.
would I put on it?
Yeah,
Like, I don't even know.
something mild.
Right. So any Asian grilled cheese
Yeah.
ideas, please.
There you go. Leave them in the comments below.
Uh-huh.
Well, I think this is very fascinating. Thank you for coming on the show.
Yes, thanks for having me. It's
And
awesome.
thanks for just sharing your story and, you know, just educating the masses about the food truck.
Right.
Do you have any good resources? Like, I mean, do you read? I mean, what are things that you're in? Like, what do you do to keep yourself motivated as a business, you know, person, as an entrepreneur? I mean, are you educating yourself? Do you have time for that?
Very little. I was reading, there's a whole bunch of food truck books out there on how to open a food truck and whatnot. So I have those. And then, you know, through my career in the past, I've read a lot of, you know, managerial books, which I actually really enjoy.
Yeah.
So those things are always kind of brewing in the back of my head, and I'll read it if I have time. But right now I'm just kind of grinding, you know?
Yeah. Just getting it done.
Yep.
Yeah. And then how do you like make time for yourself? I mean, because are you open 7 days a week?
If we can,
Like if someone says, "Hey, we'll pay you money,"
well, I'll be there.
Yeah.
So I make time in between the empty spots on my calendar.
Yeah.
Which is a lot right now. Come summer, I'm not going to have time for anything, which
Right.
is fine.
Yeah. It's like you work hard, play hard.
Right.
Right.
If I have too much time, I'm really worried about my bank account. Really.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Exactly. Then you're like, listen, I'd rather be working.
Pretty much.
Yeah. And the thing I found too is that when you're working for yourself, sometimes it doesn't feel like work. Like there's times where you're grinding and you're like putting in the work, but at the end of the day, it doesn't feel like work, right? And then it's like you don't have this external pressure of a boss or somebody like, I'm gonna need that product report,
Right.
At the end of your
time,
thing. It's like, listen.
And then you're like, oh, you have to clock out. We're thinking about labor. Like, I don't have to clock in or out ever.
Yeah.
It's awesome.
Yeah, exactly. That's cool. Have you ever thought about having multiple trucks or like,
Yeah, I've thought about it.
A fleet.
It depends.
Cheeses.
I would rather just go from this right into a restaurant.
Mm-hmm.
I'd like to drive the trailer into the restaurant and gut a side of it and make that the bar.
Oh, that'd be sweet.
So it'd be
And then that, like this nostalgic, like
yeah. Where did
that
cheeses
was the
come from?
first food truck.
Yes,
This is where it all began.
That's the goal.
You're like some hipster place in Rhino, like
Right. Yeah.
Totally.
Hipsters. That's where I got to go. I've already thought about that. I'm like, where am I going to open this thing? Wherever the hipsters are.
That's right. They love grilled cheese.
It's very true.
How do you come up with new menu ideas?
Ian is our GM, and he has a big passion for food, and so he's constantly like, "Hey, can I try this?" And I'm like, "Yeah, sure. Go buy some stuff."
Yeah.
So he'll bring on things onto the truck, and we'll kind of battle back and forth on what specials we're going to do or any new menu items, and see. And honestly, his sell better than mine.
Really?
Sadly.
Maybe it's the marketing. Maybe it's like his word choices.
Right. That's true. He's got a new one coming up, so hopefully it'll be good. Yeah.
That's exciting. So do you still have a passion for food and things like that?
I do.
Even though you're working in it?
Absolutely. I still come home and cook often.
Yeah.
So.
Asian
food. Yeah, a lot. I just got an Instapot, so I'm kind of figuring out my way around that thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's kind of trendy.
It is. It's different.
It's so hot right now. Everyone's got an Instapot. My neighbors, everybody.
Yep. Instapot is everywhere right now. So.
Which I'm like, it's funny because I'm like, this is just a pressure
cooker.
Yeah. It's like
with buttons.
Yeah. It's like a rice maker meets a pressure cooker.
Pretty much, yeah.
This is nothing new.
Nope.
Yeah.
Nope.
But that's cool. Instapotting it up. Do you have any other hobbies? I mean, other than food and grilled cheese? I mean, are you into anything else?
I love to fish, camp, all that
Really?
stuff. Yeah, I love to fish.
Okay.
Yeah. Well, I'm born and raised in Colorado. This fishing and camping is like...
Yeah, I get that.
Something, yeah.
It's funny because, I mean, I've been here since I was 10, and my wife, born and raised, she's like a third generation Coloradan.
Yeah.
But we like don't go skiing.
Oh, I've never been skiing.
Yeah, me neither,
Never,
actually.
yeah.
I snowboarded, but I've never been skiing.
Right.
And, when you go out of town or you talk to people, they're like, oh, man, you like crushing the mountains all I'm like, actually, I've never been skiing before. I've been in the mountains,
Right.
But it's just, I find that a lot of natives, we don't go skiing.
I've never been skiing or snowboarding ever.
Yeah,
so
interesting.
I'd rather go camping or...
Yeah, camping for sure.
Yeah.
I try to go several times a year. It's just, there's some awesome. Do you have a good camping spot?
I do, but I will not share it.
What?
I can't share it. In fact, somebody told me this camping spot, and I go there often, and he was like, you can't tell anybody about it.
So we definitely don't want to put it out there on the internet.
He would kill me if he saw me say it because it's like our secret place.
All right. I have a good spot too.
I'll share it with you.
Okay. Off air. We'll talk about the special spots. Okay. Yeah. Okay. That sounds good to me. Cause my spot's awesome too.
Yeah.
And I don't want the word to get out too much cause it's already kind of difficult you have to kind of plan ahead if you want to like reserve a spot and stuff like that.
Right. This is no reservation.
It's just like off the grid.
Yeah.
I like that.
Yeah. It's awesome.
I like that. Okay.
That's why I don't want people to know about it.
Yeah. Cause you don't want to roll up to your spot and then it's like, what?
Now I have to pay for this? What?
What are you doing here?
There's rangers?
This is my spot. That's awesome. Yeah. That's cool. All right. Well, where can people find you and give out your information to the internets?
All of the internets.
All the internets.
So you can find us on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, all of that, all under What Would Jesus Do. Our website is whatwouldjesusdo.com. And on there, there's a little tab that says Find Us, and we post monthly where we'll be.
Okay.
For all of our public events. So you'll see some gaps in there, and we do lots of private events. But those are all things that people can search us for.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Awesome.
This Saturday will actually be, or tomorrow will be at the Winterfest in Arvada.
Okay. The Winterfest, Arvada.
Arvada.
Tomorrow.
So
if you hear this
11 a.m.
like a month from now, don't go there.
Don't go there. Yes, this is true. Cool.
Well, that's awesome. Genevieve, thank you so much for being on the show today.
You. Appreciate it.
And for all you out there, work hard, do your best, make the best of every situation, stay positive.
Yes.
And you too can be successful. Please like, subscribe, and follow us on Facebook. And we'll see you when we see you.